Hello, I'm George Stonua. This is my evaluation of my own personal showreel scene and the unit of G17 as a whole. To start, I'll be talking about my strengths and weaknesses throughout the process. The first bits I'll be talking about is learning lines and meeting set deadlines. So at the start of the whole process, after I'd casted my partner, we were given a rehearsal schedule, which we could either have in a physical copy or a digital copy. I chose a physical copy. I just thought it was more practical when I was with my partner. It'd just be easy to write down. I could, edit it more easily, stuff like that. I wouldn't have to wait until I get home and then, not be with my partner at the same time whilst we're editing it together. So in terms of deadlines, I made sure that whenever I did a rehearsal with my partner, who was Izzy Wilson, that I'd always discuss with her, like, whenever she's ready to rehearse, what times, like during college or after college or even outside of college, she'd be ready to rehearse and go through the scene. So for the first week, we just set off a few tasks of just doing the first audit recording, where we sat down, just read through the script, and we just in that same week we had a few rehearsals just so we could get a better feel for the script after the first audit, in time for the next week, because I plan to do audits just at the end of each week. I did them pretty much every Friday. I just thought that was best because I could evaluate it after I did it each week, and I'd have a whole week to improve and rehearse. And so me and my partner would set deadlines like that, and we'd also set tasks. So for example, in the first week, we set a task to have our lines learned by the next Friday for the second audit, and we followed every deadline we set. We followed to a T. We both knew we had to do it. There was no messing about. We just did it, and we both came in ready to do the next audit. And that's why I felt this process run really smoothly for me and my partner for my scene, because we stuck to those deadlines, and we both respected that we were helping each other out, and this was an important task, so it needed to be done. The next point I'll be talking about is independent rehearsal and character preparation. So for independent rehearsal, it was quite nice for the showreel scene to be on our own time, on our own schedule. That was all our own independent work, mine and my partner, from no help from teachers or anything like that. We just had to make it on our own time, whatever suited us, to work around our own time at home and our other college work as well. So the rehearsal schedule really helped me out with it, because if I ever had a thought in my head, I'd just tell my partner and we'd both write it down, and then we'd have it in a physical copy, and we'd know what time we have to be there, what day we're going to do it, and what we're going to do. So for most independent rehearsals, it would either be the day of the audit, or if we did the audit on the Friday, we'd do a rehearsal on the Wednesday, just so we're prepared for it. And even just before we did the audit, each time we did an audit, we'd do a little rehearsal before it, just so we're ready to put it on a camera and show that development. So for each audit, I wanted to make sure that I was showing good development. So the first audit I did, it was just a script read, just getting a feel for the scene. None of us had learnt lines. It was just script in hand, nothing special. And then the second audit, I tried a different camera angle, and I was off script, because that was one of our tasks, to learn lines for the second audit, and we both did that. I was off script, and we tried a different camera angle, and it was more facing towards me, as I was the focal point of the scene. And then audit 3, we tried a different camera angle, both still off script, and we tried it at different paces, and we added a different location. So the first 2 audits, we were just in a rehearsal room, but then for the third audit, we added a different location, to show the development and how I'd thought about where we were going to stage the scene. So we went and found a different room in the college, at the time, where it was free, and I had a setting where there was a lot of, because in my scene it's in a cafe, so there's a lot of chairs and tables about, and so we found a room that was like that for audit 3, so they could start to see that we did start to think about the scene more deeply and develop it like that. So for my character preparation, the scene I chose was from a film called Whiplash, which is one of my favourite films. So I'd watched it many times before, and I kind of already had an idea of how the character acted, how his personality was, how he talked to other characters in the film, and how his physicality was. So I had a good idea already going into the scene. going into rehearsals. But before each audit and before each rehearsal, I'd rewatch the scene by myself and with my partner as well, just so we could go in with a fresh mind of how it works. And yeah, and each week we'd notice different things, like about physicality or the way they say things or the pauses they take, and that shows in the development of my audits as well. For example, like in my first 2 audits, I'd say it really, really fast, and I was saying I was, speaking my lines too quick. And in my evaluation of every audit, it was to slow down each week. And in my final showreel scene, I felt like I got it not too fast, not too slow. It was a perfect pacing for how I wanted it. But yeah, through the development of my scenes, you can see how it gets slower and how I do improve on the task I set myself. So yeah, I felt for the character preparation, the best thing for me was rewatching the scene and just getting inspiration of how the actor, in this case it was Miles Teller playing the character of Andrew, just how he acts as him, just how he says things, how the pauses he takes, and how he is around other characters. And I did think about character objectives. Now in this scene, my character's objective is to become an independent person, focus on his own career, his own goals, and just to break up with his girlfriend, who is Nicole in this scene, who's played by Izzy. So yeah, I had a look at character objectives. That another thing that helped me out was rewatching the scene just to get that. But I also just thought about, all the work we've done in the first year that helped me out with this a lot. Just thinking about, just rewatching the scene, knowing what he wants, just thinking about, okay, what in this scene, what does his ultimate goal in this scene? And I came down to it. He wanted to be independent, because in the film he wants to just focus on his goals. He wants to become one of the best drummers of his generation. So yeah, his ultimate goal is to become independent. And so I wrote that down, and I kept thinking about it for each audit, if I could improve on it or if I could notice anything else. So yeah, that's all I did for character preparation. I felt that did really help in my understanding of the scene though. So in terms of my weaknesses for this unit of G17, I felt like I could have done better in the final scene with my location. So my location was different to my first audit, as it shows development through each audit. I keep on moving locations, and my final showreel scene is the best location I could find. But looking back on it, I think I could have done better with the finding of the location. I did it in the college canteen, as in my scene they are in a cafe, so it did make sense to do it in like a cafe setting, a cafeteria setting. I just feel like it was quite a bland scene looking back on it, and I could have done better to find maybe doing a scene next to a window or have a few people in the background, and just things along those type of lines, just to make it a bit more lively, and just so it's just not a bland scene. So yeah, my weaknesses through this, I think for next time I'll definitely find and think more about the location. I think I was thinking too deep into the other things to worry about the location. So next time I'll make sure I balance it out and I find a better location for the scene that I'm doing. So for my showreel scene, I chose a scene from a film called Whiplash. In the scene, my character of Andrew Neiman breaks up with his girlfriend Nicole in a cafe setting, as his goal is to become independent and just focus on himself, and he doesn't want any distractions, and he sees Nicole as a distraction. I felt this scene was beneficial to my own development, as a lot of the time in the past I've done comedy. I've chose comedy pieces for a lot of things, as I feel like I am quite strong in comedy settings, in like comedy genres, and I wanted to test my skills in more serious stuff, because I have done serious before but not much of it, and I wanted to go out of my comfort zone a bit, not always choose a comedy which I know that I'm comfortable with, try something serious where I can develop my skills and expand what I'm getting better at. And I felt it was beneficial, because it made me realize a lot of the scene is on my character of Andrew, so I've got a chance to be reacting to what the other character's saying. And I think a lot of times in the past I've been like preempting lines, but I felt like in this one I did a good job of listening to what the other character was saying, and making it seem like natural reactions, believable reactions, and not preempting my lines and just making it seem like I was a robot. Although one thing I did struggle with, so in my scene I thought I did well with my facial expressions, as the camera a lot of time is on me, so I had a lot of time to think about it and a lot of things to do. Whereas in the scene I was casted in a scene from La La Land in Izzy Wilson's showreel. I was the character of Sebastian, and the there's not a lot of time where the camera's on me, and when it is on me, it's only on me for like a short amount of time. So I had to quickly get my reactions across to what Izzy was saying, and I felt quite difficult doing that. And when I watched it back, I felt like I could have done a lot better, as I felt like in the moment I was doing a lot, but when watching back, it doesn't get how I'm feeling across in the scene, as I'm not doing as much as I should be. But that helps me out, because now in future I can watch that back and know, even if it's a short amount of time that I have on camera, I know that I've got to get that point across a lot quicker, because it's a lot of work through facial expressions on when you're acting for camera. It's not like on stage where you can use a lot of expression through your voice. A lot of it is through the eyes and through the face. So that'll help me for next time, as I can rewatch it. I've got it there forever, so I can rewatch it. But that is a definite thing I'll work on for next time. When I've not got as much screen time in a showreel scene or any acting for camera work, I'll make sure that I get my point across in my face a lot quicker. I felt like my characterization for the scene was good, as in the film, Miles Teller plays the character of Andrew Neiman, and Andrew is in his college years. He's around the age I am now, as I am in my college years as well. I'm in my second year of college. So it does make sense for me to play this character, and it was very realistic. It's not like I'm playing a character that's 40. That wouldn't be realistic for me to get casted for, because as I am 17 years old. But in this scene, Andrew is around the same age as me. He's in his college years just like I am. And the actor of Miles Teller was older than that when he played this character, but he is quite young in the face, and I'm still quite young in the face. So I thought it was a good casting for myself, as it did look quite believable, and I could see myself casted as a character at that age range, and that looks like that. So yeah, I felt my characterization was strong when picking my scene. Another strength I felt that hit was at the end of my showreel scene, having an establishing shot at the end. So one of my big points of feedback over the whole G17 module was to have an establishing starter shot and an end shot, as I wasn't doing that in my first few self-tapes. But I took that on board, and I developed it and put it in my self-tapes for the Morel Cherry workshop and for my showreel scene. And as you can see in the end of my showreel scene, as Nicole leaves the scene, the camera cuts to me again, and for a few seconds, it just leaves it for a few seconds. I've not got any lines. It's just my facial expressions, just contemplating what's happened in the conversation, how my character's feeling. And I felt like my development throughout this module has been good on that, as watching back some of my old self-tapes and some of my old, just work on camera, there is a lot of it. The scene's starting, I start my line straight away, and then it ends as soon as I finish my line. And it is much better leaving it for a second, giving it a bit of impact. And that's what I did with my showreel scene, and I felt that was one of my big strengths and big points of development, which I'm very happy that I did. My future intentions for TV acting, that is my main career goal. I want to be a film and TV actor mainly. And yeah, I think G17 has really helped me out in my starting the ball rolling and getting my development going, because there was a lot of things I was doing wrong, such as, like I said, about establishing shots, saying my lines too quick, and preempting lines. And I need to work on getting into my character more, to not preempt the lines, to listen to what the other character's saying, and make sure the camera can see that in the way I react to those lines and the way I say my own lines. So yeah, and for future self-tape submissions for my agency and any auditions that I get for drama schools and stuff like that, I will keep the same development points, even in terms of camera angles, making sure it's on my face, making sure I'm not looking down the lens of the camera, make sure my eyes are angled off, and yeah, just my main point throughout this was definitely to not preempt the lines and to make it look so believable and natural, and that I was listening to what the other character was saying and not knowing what they were going to say. My targets for my next showreel scene in module G18 would be to, by the final showreel scene, I'd like to think about my location a lot deeper and have a better location. I'd like to try some better camera angles for my scene, some over the shoulder shots, as I said. and just making sure I'm not preempting lines, making my scene look very natural. And even before G18 starts, it's important to start this development now in any self-tips I get from an agency or anything we have to do in class, because then I'll be much more ready when it comes to G18, and I'll have already started my development on it, which means by the time my final showreel scene comes for G18, it'll be even better than I first expected it to be, because my development would have already started before the unit started. For my conclusion, I'll be going for a few points of what I've learned through the whole module and how it's going to help me in future and what I can still develop for future. So starting off with my research of the scene I do, or the episode from a TV show or from the scene from a film. 100% definitely watch the film or watch the episode in full, because I'll get because in that way you can get the context of the scene, get the context of what's happened just before your scene and the film as a whole, what that character's gone through to get to where they are now, how they've acted previously and how they're acting now, and you'll be able to look deeply into like how they are mentally in the scene, and that'll even help with physicality and stuff like that, because you'll know if something's happened to that character, you'll have a good context and you have a good understanding of what's happened if you watch the whole thing rather than just watching the scene. So yeah, definitely for G18, carry on doing what I'm doing, watch the whole film when I'm doing my research, so that I can know the physicality of the character, know what they've been through in that film or episode, and just so I can play that character much more naturally. So yeah, that's what I do for the research points. So my evaluation for the rehearsal process and what I can do better for next time, just do more rehearsals. I think this time I did enough rehearsals for what I needed to for I needed to be for the final scene. I thought my development was good, but I think for next time I'll do even more, because the understanding between me and my partner who I've casted will be much better, and just my understanding of character and how he says his lines, and I'll be able to, if I do more rehearsals, I'll be able to test different things. I'll be able to test saying it in different ways, because I might find something then that's better than I originally thought it was. Having my physicality in different ways, just working with my partner in all different ways. And by having more rehearsals, that's much more, you can do that to a much better standard rather than having maybe one rehearsal a week, 2 rehearsals a week. Just find more time for myself in college and outside of college to do those rehearsals, so I can just develop my character even more, make it more natural, and just become that character and just have a better physicality in that scene and a better understanding of the scene and the context as a whole. So for my final showreel scene, my final filming of it next time, the things I can improve on and the things that I've learned from this time is definitely, having more rehearsals will help out with just testing new things in terms of camera angles. For example, doing more over the shoulder shots, just filming it in different ways and finding what way is best for me and what I think is best for my scene. And also the location, definitely think more deeper about the location, because that'll just make it look better. It'll make the context look better. It'll help us have better performances, because we'll be able to feel like we're in the scene more, because we're in a better location than just like maybe a bland background like I had this time. So yeah, definitely think about that for next time, location wise, and just more rehearsals and testing out new things. And the way I plan to move forward with my development for acting for camera for any future work or any future college assignments we have to do is just make sure I keep rewatching the videos I've done and the development I've done this time, and so for next time I can know what I want to do even better. So on my final showreel scene, just keep it there so I can rewatch it, and by next time I submit a final submission, I can rewatch it and know my development, and then even know my development for next time. I can go, okay, I did this, but I didn't do this. So for next time, I'll definitely try to do that. So yeah, my main thing is just keep rewatching my own work, keep watching other people's work. Maybe I can steal things that they've done that I thought was really good, and just keep watching scenes that I think maybe one day that I could work on with a showreel, because then I'll get a better understanding of those scenes, and I can test them out just in a random rehearsal, and just get them prepared, and it gets me testing out different genres of things and all stuff like that. So that is my plan for how to develop my skills in future.